Go ahead and get started. Welcome to the April block. Okay. Um, so in this block, we're going to do just some simple piecing and then also half square triangles. And for some of you, you've done hundreds, if not thousands, of half square triangles, and others of you have not. So I'm going to go over the basics of making half square triangles today. Okay. So first of all, I'm going to sew these two rectangles together and put right sides together. I like to match it up so that I sew everything matches at the beginning and everything matches at the end. Okay, everybody's good with their 1/4 inch seam, I hope. Okay, so just sew this. Okay, so I'm just going to press this. I like to press it flat first, and then I press it to the side. So you are going to make 4 of these. Okay. There we are. All right, so now I'm going to get into the half square triangles. Cutting half square triangles. So on a typical ruler, we're cutting these at 4 7/8. So on a regular ruler, it counts 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you want to count the 7 of the 8s, you can, but I usually think of it as 5 minus 1 little tick. So it's 5 and the small little tick right next to the 5 if I'm cutting 4 7/8. That works for me. That's how my brain works. It's good. So for those of you who would rather have another option, this is a 7/8 inch ruler. And so what it does is the first marking is 7/8. The second big marking is 1 7/8, 2 7/8, 3 7/8, 4 7/8, 5 7/8. So you would just line up your 4 7/8 along this solid line, and that would give you your 7/8. If that works for you, if that's how if that is helpful, there is a ruler for it. Because anytime there's a half square triangle, I can almost guarantee you it's going to be cut something in 7/8. That's just the way the math works. Okay, so this is available. Okay, so I cut these 4 7/8, and I'm going to mark a diagonal line on the back side of the lighter fabric, and I'm just going to go ahead and use the white. So here's my white. I'm just going to put it down, take a ruler, and mark a diagonal line, one diagonal line on the back side of the white. Okay, so here's one of them, and I'm going to do another one. Put that aside. So here's my other one. So I'm going to put my fabrics right sides together, and I'm going to match it up as perfectly as I can. So all the edges will meet. You know, the square is on top of the square as perfect as I can get it. And then once I have it all in place, then I'm going to take, I typically take 2 pins. I pin it so that I can still sew and the pins won't be like in the way. I want to have it pinned, but I can still sew without moving the pins. I'm going to do the same thing with the other one. I'm going to put it right on top of the other one as perfectly as I can get it. Pin it in place. So here it is. It's all pinned. And now I'm going to sew it. And when I sew it, I'm going to sew it 1/4 inch from the marked line. So 1/4 inch from the marked line. So however you line up your 1/4 inch, you want to have that right on that marked line. So if you have a mark underneath your machine, you're going to have to find something else to do to see that 1/4 inch, to see that mark line. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay, there's one. And then I'm going to go right on and do the other one. Okay. So what I did here is called chain piecing. So I sewed 2 at a time. All right. So I've sewn on one side of the mark line. Now I'm going to sew on the opposite side. Same thing. 1/4 inch from that mark line. Okay. I'm going to cut these apart, and I'm going to take out the pins. So you really can't see it, but I did sew a 1/4 inch on both sides of that mark line. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it right on that mark line. Okay, so I've cut these apart. These are my half square triangles, and I'm going to press them. I like to press them flat first, and then I encourage it to go to the darker fabric side, and then my iron will just kind of slide over it if I kind of encourage it first. So here's what it looks like from the front, and from the back it's all pressed towards that darker fabric. So I'm going to do that with all of these. I'm going to press it first and go to the side. Now when you're pressing to the side, you want to make sure you're not distorting it, because it can easily, if you push really hard, you can really distort this, especially if you use a lot of steam. Okay, one more. Okay, so I have half square triangles. I've made 4 of them, and I'm going to cut off these extra bits on the end because they just add bulk. So you want to get rid of those. And you guys are going to want to use scissors. I didn't bring out scissors. I mean big enough scissors. You guys know to respect this blade. Okay, so I have my 4 half square triangles done, and we are ready to set up the block. Okay, I'm going to move this. Helps that I've already made a bunch of these. Okay, so this is the block, the way it's designed, the way I had done it. But you can change, you can move things around and create a different block. So I'm going to do that. And it's kind of amazing how much it changes just by turning some things. And that's a totally different block when you look at it that way. So there's no right or wrong. I mean, you can do it any way you want to do it, but I'm going to put it back the way it was originally. Okay. Yes. Yep. Okay, so I'm back to where I originally had it. So now I'm going to sew them together, just two at a time in rows. So let me start that. Again, I want my ends to meet. Sew these together. Anybody have any questions while I'm doing this? Okay, so I'm going to put this back up on the wall because once I have it sewn together, I'm going to figure out which way to press it. All right, so now I'm going to just sew these on, the third piece on. Okay, so this is the last one in the row. I'm trying to make sure my ends meet. Okay, so this is the middle. Top and the bottom. So when I look at this, for these two rows, if I press it towards the center, it's a lot less bulk than trying to press it towards the point of a half square triangle. It's going to lay a lot smoother if I press it towards this piece. Okay, so if I press these two in, then these two need to be pressed out. Okay, it's all about the least amount of bulk. So I'm pressing this towards the center. So for me, it's all about bulk. However, I can reduce bulk. So center, these are going out towards the black. And then in. All right. There it is, pressed. So now I'm going to sew these two together, and I'm going to pin it at where these seams meet. So I'm going to pin it here, and I'm going to pin it here for sure. And since I pressed them in opposite directions, the seams are going to nest really nicely. And I kind of slide it around until it feels tight where it won't move anymore. And then I pin it about 1/8 of an inch from where I'm actually going to sew it. So really, really close. That way when I take out the pin, I'm taking out the pin right at the last minute or the last stitch. Okay, so you can pin your beginning and end if you want. I'm just going to hold it. I want my ends to meet here. So I get to about a stitch before that pin, and then I take out the pin. All right, so I have this so far, and I might as well go ahead and iron it. And if I iron it up, it's going to be a lot less seams than if I iron it down, you know, because I have that half square triangle that I would be going against if I go down. Not that the half square triangle is bad, but I might as well go the way that it's the flattest. Okay, and I always kind of encourage it wherever I have a seam, and it just, the iron will flow over it really nicely if I kind of give it a little push where the seam is. Okay, so now I'm going to add this one. Again, I'm going to match my seams first. Really close to that seam. And then this one. Match my ends, make sure they meet at the ends, the beginning and the end. And making sure my last pieces of fabric meet. Okay, I'm going to press it towards the middle. And there we go. All right.